Hey everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you everything I eat in a day as a vegan. Oh, you can see Dylan moving in the background. Dylan, say hi! I don't know how well you could see him. He's doing something goofy. Anyways, like I said, today I'm going to show you everything I eat in a day. And I wanted to focus this video a little bit more around the produce that we have in our garden because it's doing really well. I've been updating you guys on our garden throughout the year. And I was sitting there and I was dreaming. I was like, maybe one day I can do like what I eat in a day exclusively from my garden. And that would be awesome, but we're definitely not there yet. But I also wanted it to be realistic too, because I don't think most people can eat exclusively from their gardens. So I'm going to give you an updated garden tour and show you how we're incorporating some of the produce that we've been picking in our garden, harvesting from. I feel like that sounds more elevated. I did start my day with some coffee that I did not grow. It was just some cold brew coffee that we made, and I had some oat milk in it. Filmed a cool little slow-mo video for you guys. I feel like it looks really cool, and now it makes me kind of want more coffee, but I've just had that in some water. So now I'm going to go ahead and make some breakfast. I'm going to make a smoothie, but before I do that, I'm going to give you an updated tour of the garden. And obviously every time you plant a garden, it's a learning experience. So we've had some things that are doing really well. We've had some things that we've already harvested, and we have some things that are sort of dying out because, you know, it's just sort of their growing season is ending. And we've also made some mistakes that we recognize, and we know what we're going to do differently next year. So yeah, let's get into it. So our herbs are doing okay. They're starting to die out a little bit. Some of them didn't come back as well this year. I need to dry them or something, and obviously, as you can see, some of them are getting flowers. So I need to do something about that. One of the mints are doing well. I thought that was a hard plant to kill, but for some reason this other one that I bought this year died. So now let's move on to more positive things. Our greens bed is thriving. It's doing really well. I would borderline say we almost planted too many greens, but we've been sharing them with friends, so it's been good. And the bugs have been nibbling a little, so they get some food and we get some food too. We have our Swiss chard here. We have our kale. The kale is fine as it grows taller. It's just like how it grows, but our lettuce bolted. So as you can see, it grows up tall. I think one of you actually mentioned this to me too. We need to pull it out. After it bolts, the leaves become bitter, but we also don't want to waste some of them. So I've been kind of going through. I pulled out 2 plants down here already. And these I need to pull out, but we're going to eat some of the bottom leaves first. And I just pair in a salad that like does better with more bitter greens. So that's what's going on with the lettuce. Our Romanesco, we already picked them, so that's empty now. Our honeysuckle vine is taking off. If you mentioned this is invasive, and I do know that, so we've been trimming it and keeping it in check. Our tomatoes are growing. Tomatoes seem to come around like later in the year where we live, so they've grown more since I last showed you guys. We're starting to get a few tomatoes, as you can see right there. We've gotten a few. We haven't had any like major harvests yet though. So now we'll go to this side of the house. So this bed is doing really well. We've been gradually thinning out the beets. And the snap peas are still doing pretty well. They're more of an early season crop, but I think because this side gets a little more shade, they've been lasting a little bit longer. As you can see, we need to pick some pretty soon. We've got some here. We've got some down here. And I wanted to show you with the beets. So you plant a lot of seeds, but you have to thin them out because the bulbs take up more space. You can see sort of in there, we've got some beets growing. So we've just been thinning out the smaller beets and roasting the small beets, or if there's not much of a bulb, we just cook the beet greens because they taste very similar to Swiss chard. So now moving on to the bigger beds. Here we have our 3 blueberry bushes. We had to get a bird netting to put on top of them because the birds ate all the blueberries on that middle bush. But there are some on these bushes here. This raised beds, you can sort of see, this gets a lot more sun, so the snap peas in the corners, they're starting to die off. I've pulled a few of the plants. I definitely need to pull this one. But I only pull them once they stop producing snap peas. And we ate all of our cauliflower, so there's an empty space now. And our cabbage is doing really, really well. Let me see. This is probably the biggest head here. If I pull this back, ugh, you can see. So I need to make some sauerkraut, or we need to give some heads of cabbage to people. And our green beans are starting to come in. We've harvested a few. We actually need to harvest some more today. It's kind of hard to see because they come like under the leaves. We've got purple greens and green beans. There's some right here that you can see. They're not ready to be picked yet, but just to get an idea of what they look like. So we gotta go in there. One mistake that we made when planning this bed is that the raised bed, you're supposed to be able to reach more than halfway across, and we actually can't with this bed, so it's kind of a little hard to get the beans in the middle. So in the future, if we build more beds, we'll keep that in mind, but this is still manageable. Then here, I got a plum tree that has no plums on it. And then right here, Dylan planted a ton of cucumber plants and they kind of took over this bed. So we have peppers in the back, but I'm kind of honestly worried about the peppers. I think it's definitely overcrowded. That's one thing that we always learn from. We try to pack as much plants in there as we can, but then we learn that, you know, maybe it was a little too much. But this is actually sort of growing over the side of the bed. The bed ends right there. And I kind of encouraged it, put a stick to grow down that way to leave some room for our peppers. So we actually have one cucumber growing. This little guy right in here, Dylan said it's like a salt and pepper cucumber. I guess he got different varieties. And then we also, the only peppers that we're really seeing so far are jalapenos. So you can see we got one in there. None of them are big enough to pick yet. We haven't gotten anything really on the habanero. It's just sort of growing. This one is Thai. We have some blooms right there, but we haven't gotten any peppers yet. And then this is another variety. We have some buds, but no peppers growing yet. And then we planted the plum trees this year, so we weren't expecting to get much fruit. But this tree had 5 plums when we bought it, and now there's only 1 left. So I'm not sure if the birds ate them or what, but he's the last guy. He's slowly growing. Maybe he'll taste okay. But usually with fruit trees, you don't get as much fruit in the first year, so we weren't really expecting much anyways. For breakfast, I made my mango golden milk smoothie. It actually just went on the blog earlier this week. I made a double batch for Dylan and I, and I also added some kale from our garden, so it's going to be green. It's not going to be as pretty of a color, but it'll still be nice. So I'm using oat milk. If you want the full recipe, you can click below. I will link it. And Dylan also requested that I add some chia seeds and hemp hearts. So I'm going to blend this up and pour into glasses. Maya. Hi. How are you? Is that a good girl?
Shake. Shake.
So it's been a while since we last talked. I did some yard work outside, needed to lay some mulch in the front yard. We basically just been doing house chores. And Dylan and I did a little bit of yoga, and now we're going to make lunch. And we've been saving up our purple and green beans. Are they just purple beans then? I don't know, but we've been saving these probably for maybe like a week and a half because I wanted to make like one dish using all of them. So we're just going to be making a simple green bean stir fry. I'll show you what else is going to go in it. So these are our beans. As you can see, there's a good amount. The sad thing about the purple ones is that they look really cool, but once you cook them, they actually turn green. So we have these, and then we have a few snap peas. I'm just going to toss those, or snow peas. I'm going to toss those in at the end. And then we have some thinly sliced onion, some garlic and ginger. I kept the chunks a little bigger because I wanted to get like a hit or like a chunk of garlic and ginger in this. And then I also have some tempeh. I'm not sure if I'm going to cook this in my air fryer yet, or I'm going to just toss it in with a stir fry. It'll be a game time decision. So we're going to have this along with some white rice that Dylan already started and put on the stove. So here's the finished stir fry. I just wanted to show you guys. See how all of the purple beans disappeared? You can see with a few of them, I think like these here, they look a little more almost gray. So they're still like a hint of purple color. And I think the ones that were green look a little more vibrant, like that one there. But all looks relatively green to me. So I just cooked this in some vegan flavored chicken broth, a splash of soy sauce, and I added a touch of sesame oil at the end. Kept things pretty simple. Here is my bowl. I topped it with a little bit of sesame seeds and this chili oil. It's not focusing, but I feel like I've shown this to you guys a million times. Basically, just finish it off. So again, it's been a little while. We ended up watching The Office, and we split a kombucha, and then we also snacked on some dates and almonds. And then I also had a few chocolate chips in my dates and almonds because Dylan was eating it and it looked good. So yeah, we did that. Watched The Office for a while. I did a few more chores, and then we realized that we needed to go grocery shopping because we only really had a kind of scary looking green bell pepper in the fridge. So we went to the grocery store. Now we're back and we're eating a kind of light dinner. Honestly, I wanted to show you guys more like the process of it, but I'm pretty tired. I want to like chill before I gotta work tomorrow. Today's a Sunday, and yeah, so I'm keeping it very simple, just throwing some roasted veggies in the oven. Here is our lineup. Dylan really wanted potatoes and mushrooms for dinner. So we got some gold potatoes from the grocery store. I tossed them in some garlic infused olive oil, rosemary, black pepper, and salt. And then we also got some portobello mushroom caps. I kind of lightly coated the bottoms in a little of the garlic oil. And then I like to pour balsamic and usually tamari, but we only have liquid aminos right now, into the caps. And I purposely bake them upside down because it stores and absorbs the juices. I'll have to try to show you guys when it comes out of the oven. And then the rest of the stuff is from our garden. So I wanted to pick a head of cabbage, but I realized we actually had half of the head of cabbage that we had already picked. So I just sliced it. If you guys haven't had roasted cabbage before, you're missing out. It looks simple, but it's so delicious and very simple to prepare. So I just drizzled some balsamic and olive oil over it. I've been using this Brightland oil. I bought this with my own money, but like it looks so millennial, modern, cute, and actually tastes good and it's good quality. So they got me. I bought it. And then I also put some salt and pepper on that. And then last but not least, I just decided to roast these cherry tomatoes and I tossed them in the bowl after I tossed the potatoes in it so they have a little bit of that seasoning on them. So now we're just going to cook this all at 400 until it looks ready to my liking. So while dinner is actually started, even though I'm tired, I told myself I was going to make this dessert, so we're making it anyways. We're going to be making some of my blackberry cobbler recipe. I'll link it below. So these are blackberries that we foraged. If you live in the Pacific Northwest, you know there are wild blackberry bushes growing everywhere. They're actually really invasive, so that part's not good, but the good part is you get sweet, juicy blackberries in the late summer. So Dylan actually picked all of these. We have a whole nother one of these in the fridge, so we definitely need to cook some down. So the base, the fruity part, is just blackberries, lemon juice, coconut sugar, and vanilla. And then for the topping, Dylan never closes the fridge! And then for the topping, I use coconut butter instead of oil. And then we have some more coconut sugar, cinnamon, baking powder, salt. I'm using oat milk. And then for the flour, I usually use oat flour, but today I'm going to try using this upcycled brown rice and quinoa flour. This company called Soul Much sent this to me, and this is actually a really cool concept. So this is technically zero waste flour, or it's upcycled. So they take brown rice and quinoa left over from restaurants, then they dehydrate it and grind it into a flour. So instead of the restaurant throwing it out, they're turning it into something that can be repurposed. So I thought that was really cool. We're going to test it in this recipe today. I haven't cooked with it before, so I'm not really sure how it's going to work. But either way, I'm sure it's going to be great. And I'm actually going to cut the recipe in half. So I'm just going to cook it in this smaller, it's like the size of my hand, smaller cast iron skillet. So it's like a large dessert for two. I mean, I guess that could be two people. I mean, if I was really hungry, I could eat that in one sitting. But anyways, so I'm going to cook this now. And then make that in a little bit. So once we start eating dinner, I can just pop it in the oven and it'll be ready right after. Everything came out of the oven. Looks nice and good. My oven light, that's very dark and dim, isn't really proving that point, but you gotta trust me. And then this is the mushroom. As you can see, some of it spills over on the side, but I think you can kind of see there's more like water or marinade in here. So it's just like a puddle of marinade. It's so good. You guys have to cook your mushrooms upside down. And the cabbage came out nice and good. And then I prepped my blackberry cobbler. Kind of looks more like a crumble, but I think it's going to be okay. So I cooked the base. I just put this on top. Now I'm going to put this in the oven while we eat our dinner. Here is my bowl and Dylan's bowl. I just topped everything off with a little bit of parsley to add a fresh pop of flavor. But this actually looks really good. I love all the colors in it. The purplish tomatoes turn more red when you bake them. Maybe that's like a theme with purple things. They just turn to a different, I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna dig in. I'm very excited. Let's go. Here is the finished, it's more of a crumble than a cobbler, but it still came out looking really good. I just topped it with some of this Cocoa Whip. And now we're going to dig in. Can you guys see how blue my teeth are? It's a little better now, but the blackberries make, no, it's still pretty bad. They're like glowing blue. Like especially in the middle. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm just gonna film my outro like this. I hope you find it comical. I'm telling this pepper too. So Dylan and I had that. I also had a little oat milk and I had one single cherry. Because Dylan had some cherries and I didn't realize he was eating them. But anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you can take me seriously even though my teeth look blue. And yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're not already. Like, you guys know the drill. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!